Hi beautiful souls, I am the Ace of Moon and today I have a February forecast for you. Before we get started, please like and subscribe for more readings like this. I would love to hear what other readings or content you would like to see, so do let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like jewelry like this, check out wonderlandatelier.com and use code TheAceofMoon for 20% off. So, I do my readings a little differently from other readers, and I always get the whole picture before zooming into individual parts. So please enjoy my first ever video of me shuffling the cards. And my camera died when I was doing the reading, so I took a picture of the final spread for you guys. So, if you have been feeling lost for quite a while now, perhaps just unsure of the direction you were heading in, you will be more certain as right now the energies are aligned to assist us towards realigning with our paths. With the Nine of Swords, Death, Three of Cups, and the Tower, there are still certain hurdles that we have to overcome. And this is more about our mindsets that is stopping us from actually pursuing what we know that we actually want to do. This in particular seems to be about all our blocks and beliefs. This could be things that we picked up from our experiences. So those experiences may have been our past, but we may still be letting them dictate our future. So especially for those of you who resonate with finishing the 4-year cycle that has been a lot of healing, and if you have been in survival mode a lot for the last 4 years, there might be things that feel very unsafe to you from those past experiences that continue to stop you from pursuing them today. It's really important to understand that you are actually no longer in that danger now, but because the block is still existing in you, it will continue to stop you from pursuing it. So with this, the guidance is to take action to just get comfortable with what you actually intend to do for yourself. Like for example, personally for me, actually the thought of doing YouTube was something that has been with me for a very long time now, but because I have had a lot of bullying experiences in the past, because kids can be so mean for just no reason at all. So it makes me feel very unsafe to be seen in this way now. And what's really interesting about this is because the thing is I have overcome those experiences already, and it's actually not an issue of self-esteem or that I don't trust myself to stand up for myself if necessary. I've already healed from the experiences, but it's not anything to do with that anymore. And yet, it's just proving to the mind, the conscious mind, that it is safe to do so. So this will also apply to personal experiences for you guys as well. It's not that we are still in any danger right now, but because the mind has always known that, it does not know a different experience. So a lot of you in this group that has been healing since 2018 as mentioned, many of you will now be called to realign with your soul purpose. So pay attention to anything that seems to be calling to you or coming up to you over and over again. For this one in particular, it seems that we are really being pushed to align with our soul paths once more, especially if you have been feeling out of alignment for the last couple of months. Next up, we have the Page of Swords and the Eight of Cups and the Magician. So the messages from these cards reaffirm what I have just said, and it can apply to other areas of your life as well. You have to be conscious and active in choosing to move away from the emotions of the old and just align yourself with where you want to be. So for example, if you feel that you have already moved past a lot of trauma, healing and such, you don't have to keep re-traumatizing yourself by continuing to look at a lot of videos which may bring up those old triggers and emotions in you. Because re-watching them might just be bringing out the old side of you over and over again. So perhaps if this is you, you might want to mute those accounts or maybe even unfollow them or just limit watching such videos or reading such posts that continue to bring you back and remind you of those things like childhood trauma. And of course, there's a difference here whether you have truly moved past it or it's still triggering you. But I'm talking more about people who have really processed it for yourself and it almost feels like it's just unnecessary and it's just making you ruminate. So take what resonates. If you feel you have not fully healed from it, then please concentrate on that and more releasing if it is needed. Next up, we have the World and the Three of Pentacles. So with this, it is quite an interesting message here. So as we start to realign with our soul paths, there might be a change in some of our relationships, not just love connections, but also with friends and families. So for example, if someone you are close to isn't quite growing with you, you might feel a little more distant with them, and some of you might even have to cut things off with some people if they are really just holding you back at this point. Sometimes it's nothing personal and it's just that the journey we have with them is done, and for others, this can be a switch in the connection that you have. For example, while you were in the healing phase, they might have been helping you in some way, and now the tables are turned, and you might now be the one that is returning the favor for them and helping them in return. It may not be such a direct kind of help. Sometimes it can be about the things they do and say that spark or trigger some awareness in you, often issues that you may have had but hadn't noticed in the past. With these cards, I'm also getting that some karmic debt has been repaid. And for those of you who have these contracts completed, these people might now exit your life. Next, we have the Lovers and the Seven of Cups. So because a lot of us are realigning at this stage, many people might be breaking off at this point, especially with the previous two cards as well as with the karmic debt that has been repaid. Those of you in the stage of seeking out love connections might be re-evaluating the qualities you look for in a partner and have a complete change in the definition of what relationships mean to you. And for others who may no longer be in a partnership at this stage, may be more about self-love and about finding yourself again, rediscovering your hobbies, your likes, your dislikes, and just finding out about who you are. Next, we have the Ten of Swords, Strength, and King of Pentacles. There are some themes from January that is also continuing into February as well. It's more about the energy of overcoming ourselves. So again, for those of you who are trying to get out of the survival mode mentality, it's important for you to reaffirm your worth and that you are safe now. And with this, there might be some old blocks that are coming back out for release. It is just a deeper layer of healing, so do not panic if you feel that old parts of you or things you felt you have moved through and healed for a long time now is coming back. It is just a deeper level of release that is meant to help you make more space in your life, and so that you can actually be more certain of who you actually are. A good example of this would be like a bucket with dirty water. So you can't just fill the bucket with clean water, but you need to empty the bucket of the dirty water first so that there is more space and the whole bucket will be filled with the clean water. So the dirty water representing the old you and the clean water representing the new you. You need to get rid of those old parts that will contaminate the rest of the clean water. So if there are any triggers that come up to you during this month, it is important that you actively face them and release them. Next up, we have the Emperor and the Two of Pentacles. So with these cards, the message is to again actively notice and take hold of any discrepancies between your old life and the one that you are wanting now, especially in your actions and habits. For example, if you are saying that you want to start a project or a business of some sort, and you continue to do anything but be working towards that, it is important to have awareness of how you may be keeping yourself in the old cycle and not taking any action towards the new one. Basically, it's a lot about breaking out of the old cycle. So in this way, try to pay attention to taking baby steps, and it can be something small like just watching 30 minutes less of Netflix and putting that 30 minutes into any small steps that would help you start that project or that business. It can be as simple as creating the page or doing some planning, or even just creating the email to start it all. All of them are small little steps that bring you closer to where you want to be. So it is important that if you find that you are in a loop and repeating habits that you know are actually destructive to you, you will need to be aware and take accountability for yourself in that part. Next up, we have the Six of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Empress, and the Ten of Cups. The message here is that sometimes there are no in-between towards where you're at and where you want to be. There are certain things that you may just have to come to terms with, that if you are not actively trying to do it, then you are not doing it. So this can be the destructive habits, especially if you say you want a change of lifestyle. Like for example, if you're trying to stop smoking and you say you will lessen it, and maybe you have, but even less does not mean that you have completely stopped smoking. So in these instances, there is sometimes the no in between. You're either still smoking a little or not smoking at all. So in these types of scenarios, we have to take accountability for the fact that we may actually be making excuses for ourselves from becoming the person we know we can be. For example, I used to smoke because I was stressed out, and I was aware that I was using it to cope with stress. And it came to a point where I realized that I was making an excuse for it, even though I knew I wanted to stop. So there was no in-between for that, and I knew that if I wanted to stop, I just had to cut it out completely. So if you are aware of any habits that are actively self-sabotaging you, it's almost like you know what you have to do, you just have to push yourself to do it, and there's no other way to it. For some of you, this may be regarding relationships even. So you may know that it is not really changing, and you know that it's painful to end things, but you also know that it is for your own good that you have to. So again, for this, there is no in-between to it, and it's simply of having to make the choice to move forward for the sake of your own good, because you know that things will not be going anywhere, and sometimes the right choice is the hard choice, but you will need to do it anyway. And lastly, we have the Five of Wands and the Nine of Cups. So there might be a lot of changes for this month, more so for habits and actions. And if you were the few that need to cut people off or just change the people you surround yourself with, there is just a lot of restructuring of your physical world to align with the new version of yourself. So this month does have some themes that are really similar to that of January, where we have to actively overcome ourselves. It feels a lot like both death and rebirth at the same time. I'm feeling that a lot of this month will be focused on the physical as well as our inner world, because as we overcome ourselves, we might be purging a lot of our old emotions as well. So I hope this has helped you, and this will help you to move through your February. Please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.